In the words of Joshua Fields Milburn, I don't expect you to come into my home and say, "Oh my god, this guy is a minimalist." No, I really don't. I don't actually expect you to say much at all. At the very most, probably, "Oh, this dude is really tidy," which I am. Although I'm not going to show the state of my desk right now because it is not tidy because I've been working all morning. But my blog post dealt with the fact that I am a slight hoarder of books. I am looking at them now from where I'm sitting, and there's a lot of them. I've probably read about maybe 60% of them. And recently, as some of you who know me personally will know, my uncle died, and unfortunate loss, and I've dealt with it in a variety of different ways, and also through my work. But a couple of times I've made blog pieces and I've talked about how I've inherited certain things from him, all lovely, various little bits and pieces, and I've inherited quite a few books as well. I got a book on Morocco, which is very helpful because I'm going to go to Morocco, revisit the country again for the second time later on this year. I got a book on Albert Camus, which was lovely because that introduced me more into the work of Camus. I got a book on it's called The French Revolution, which is about the Tour de France, which I'm interested in. Not just because my other half is French, but because I've actually been to parts of where the Tour de France takes place, and it's fantastic, fantastic reading. I have a lot of books. I have a book on how to cook, called Not for Students. I have books by George R.R. Martin. Game of Thrones is amazing. I have a whole load of novels published by Ian Fleming, which deal with James Bond, which I'm getting through right now. I finished From Russia with Love, book number 5, the other day. I love them. But I'm not a hoarder of books. And I'm not a hoarder of books because books, for me, are a window into knowledge. We can learn so much from reading literature, from rediscovering it, from rereading things, from getting other people to read it and having an intelligent conversation. There is no limit to this. And what I want to urge people to understand when they think about minimalism is that it is a radical misunderstanding when you say, "Oh, you can't be a minimalist if you have 2 pairs of skis." As it happens, I love skiing. I think it's one of the funnest things to do, and it's one of the only good things I can see out of winter, incidentally. I love bicycles, so I own a lot of bicycle gear. I do a lot of cycling. Minimalism, the principle of it is get rid of the things that you kind of like to make room for the things that you truly love. For me, I love books. I gain so much value out of them. In my line of work, I'm a long-haul flight attendant, so I'm often going across the Atlantic Ocean to the United States. If you can't tell by my accent, I'm British. So I'm always doing quite long flights. There are lull periods where things get very quiet and you don't really have a lot to do. So I like to either sit and do some writing, or I like to get a good book out and read. And normally I can get through at least one book on each trip. So I have this huge library of books and I'm progressively getting through them. And I buy books all the time. I bought 3 in the last week. None of them have turned up yet. But I'm always enjoying a good book. So for me, having lots of books, provided it works for your lifestyle, provided that you're compatible with the minimalist lifestyle, it's perfectly acceptable to have a large quantity of something as a minimalist. I would never say I fit the conventional term of what a minimalist might be. I have a house, a car, I have a full-time job, I have a partner who, as of tomorrow, is going to be living with me, which is really exciting. More on that another time. I have a lot of regular, normal-ish things. I don't live out of a backpack like Colin Wright does, or I don't have 6 kids and live in the city like Leo Babauta does, and make his income primarily from his work. My own work is very grassroots. So I don't exactly fit the conventional term of minimalism. But what I'd argue is there is no conventional term of minimalism. It doesn't exist. And I think that in the most most basic principle of the term. If you have something that you like, that you use a lot, that you gain benefit from, that gives you joy, it allows you to contribute to society, I think that reading is an exercise of the mind, of your brain. I think as long as it adds value to your life, I think it's perfectly acceptable to have a large quantity of something. Some minimalists will have like very specific books, or they'll have very, or they might have a Kindle or something like that. For me, with my mum being a novelist, with other members of my family having published work, with my girlfriend's mum being a writer as well, I've always grown up around that kind of area. So my point of view is that if you gain joy and value from it, then it's fine. That's it. That's why I have so many books. Because I like books, basically. But I think that when you have something of a quantity like this, like I'm looking around the house right now, there's got to be about 150 books in here. They're all kept high up on the shelves, out of the way. All I'm saying is that if you're going to have it, make sure that you appreciate it and it gains value. When every 6 months, every 3 months, I do what I call a quarterly purge. I've written about that before. I give the books a bit longer because it's quite hard to read that many books in that space of time sometimes. So I do donate books. I don't sell them. I don't believe that I should be selling books because I usually buy most of mine secondhand anyway. I give them to people that need them. I think there's nothing worse than a book sitting on the shelf gaining dust and that knowledge going to waste. So provided the books are used, provided they are loved, provided they are appreciated, provided they are not abused, it is completely acceptable to have as many books as you want and still call yourself a minimalist. Thank you ever so much for watching. Have a beautiful week. Toodaloo.